Alright guys, hello. We are starting a brand new unit today. We are talking about volcanoes and plate tectonics. So now we studied plate tectonics, we studied earthquakes, and now it's on to the dreaded volcano. So today, what we're going to look at is kind of where do volcanoes take place on Earth? Where do they happen? That's what we're going to be looking at the most. And so over the next few slides, we are going to kind of see on Earth where they happen. And we have a pretty good idea, I think, based on the past few units. And it's going to kind of lead into our activity for the day. So make sure you're filling in those notes as we go through today. So a volcano, simply put, is a weak spot in the crust where molten material comes to the surface. And beneath the Earth, the way that a volcano really erupts, we'll talk more about in the following units here. When that molten rock is underground, it's that molten mixture of rock and gases. And I'm sure most of you had the experience in your lifetime where you have that fresh Mountain Dew. You just bought it, it's hot outside, and you drop it on the ground. Now it's all shaken up. And when you open it, all that gas is released, and you lose half your Mountain Dew, and now it's flat. Well, much in the same way, that's how a volcano erupts. And the gas is down there, kind of that pressure builds up, and over time, if it builds up enough, we get a volcanic eruption. So when it reaches the surface, that magma, we kind of switch names. We call it lava. Once it reaches the surface, we call it lava. Now, where do most volcanoes take place on the Earth? Most volcanoes take place in an area known as the Ring of Fire. It's not a perfect ring, but it's kind of the outer edges, the outer ring of the Pacific Ocean. So you can see that here. This Ring of Fire kind of extends around the coast of South America, North America, over to Alaska, the Aleutian Islands, down here along the coast of Japan, Philippines, down along Papua New Guinea, I believe, and over here to New Zealand. So you can see that's kind of what they say is a ring of fire, not a true ring, but the trivia question today for the Ring of Fire is, who sings the song Ring of Fire? Bonus points for somebody who can figure that one out. So where do these volcanoes occur? Volcanoes occur along two types of plate boundaries we've been studying here. Diverging plate boundaries. This would be the mid-ocean ridge would be a diverging plate boundary. Or also in subduction zones. In subduction zones, that would be two plates are converging or two plates are meeting, or those dance moves. So converging plate boundaries and those diverging plate boundaries are typically where you find most of your volcanoes. And your activity today will kind of deal with what happens, what type of volcanoes, what type of rock comes out of those volcanoes because of that. So, a couple of pop-ups happening there. We're going to take a closer look here then at these different types of plate boundaries and what type of volcanoes form there. So our first type is what's known as an island arc volcano. And an island arc volcano occurs when a plate subducts deep into the mantle, and that's a convergent boundary. So when the rock melts, it becomes less dense than the solid rock surrounding it, and it rises back to the surface. Remember, those plates, there's all these types of cracks inside those faults in there. And over time, that lava kind of makes its way, that magma makes its way back to the surface. And the resulting volcanoes creates a string of islands that echoes the curve of the deep ocean trench. So a good example of this here are the Aleutian Islands, which is off the coast of Alaska. If you are watching Deadliest Catch, they always hunt out here in the Bering Sea. But what you can see here, this is going to be that converging plate boundary. You have two plates meeting here. And what happens, the boundary is actually probably more down along here. And these islands, you can see all these volcanoes that got listed all down here, create over time this string of islands known as the island arc. So, island arcs can occur usually between two plate boundaries. And there's a third type of volcano we're going to look at here also today, just a little bit. And it's called a hotspot volcano. And a hotspot volcano happens when that magma deep in the earth, there's kind of this, literally a hot spot in the earth, where it's able to kind of burn through the crust like a blowtorch, and some different terms there. But often they form in the middle of a crust, not near a plate boundary. The Hawaiian Islands is a classic example of a hotspot volcano. So a hotspot volcano is going to happen, again, here in the middle of the plate. So this would be a good example of the Hawaiian Islands right here. Not near a plate boundary, but that hot spot is able to burn through the crust and create those volcanoes. And over time, again, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you have to rise up and create enough land to get to the top of the water. So along here we have our two plate boundaries meeting. These would be two oceanic plates meeting. And we get these island arcs forming along the side. Over here, this we have a continental crust and the oceanic crust meeting. We get more of the volcanoes happening on land. So think of the western coast of the U.S. Mount Rainier would be an example of this. Also, Mount St. Helens would be another good example of this. So here's really our major types of volcanoes we're looking at. It's kind of where they happen today. The big thing is where they happen. So now what we're going to do, we are going to switch gears, and this video might be a little bit longer than 10 minutes because I'm now going to give instructions also for the activity for the day. Okay? So I'm going to wait here while whoever teaching the class today, it could be, I believe, Miss Cole, Mrs. Hand, or Mrs. Older. So thank you very much for helping out today. I'll wait here while you guys pass out the activity. And feel free to pause the video too, by the way, while you pass it out.